Over 35 million people around the world suffer from a form of dementia, with 7.3 million in Europe alone. Due to an aging population, this number is predicted to double to 65.7 million sufferers by 2030. With no current cure for dementia conditions such as Alzheimer's disease, the medical focus is on earlier diagnosis, which can dramatically improve the quality of life for both patients and their carers, as well as facilitate research into the causes and prevention of these crippling diseases.
It's very important to obtain an early diagnosis in neurodegenerative condition, because the only possibility we have to slow down the process is to have an impact in the very early phase. So we have now some drugs which can really slow down the cognitive decline, but these drugs are useful only at the very early stage.
However, early diagnosis is often difficult, as many of the symptoms of Alzheimer's can be confused with common signs of aging. A user-friendly way to help make an informed diagnosis is therefore vital. The groundbreaking DECIDE project offers neurologists and physicians a tool to extract new diagnostic information from the data contained in PET, MRI and CT scan images and EEG charts.
The aim of the DECIDE project is to offer physicians a new environment where they can contrast the scan of their individual patient to a large reference data set to extract diagnostic markers that will help them to reach an accurate clinical diagnosis.
The DECIDE project was created to overcome problems that clinicians have to access to normal subject databases in order to compare the patient studies. DECIDE infrastructure put together different resources in terms of computational resources and normal subject reference images, and sophisticated complex algorithms are performed and provide new biomarkers for the disease.
We have millions of European citizens suspected to suffer from Alzheimer's disease, so we need cost-effective, non-invasive, and easy-to-obtain markers for early diagnosis. EEG markers of a resting state condition fit all these requirements and probe neural synchronization and brain functional connectivity. This is why we included EEG facilities into the DECIDE infrastructure. DECIDE EEG facilities permit to upload individual EEG datasets, extract spectral EEG markers, compare them with reference populations to obtain a statistical report for clinical use. The validation of this report for clinical use is one of the DECIDE objectives.
I became involved in the DECIDE project because I was previously the principal investigator of NewGrid. NewGrid is an infrastructure, is an electronic infrastructure aimed to offer a new working environment to neuroscientists, allowing them to store and retrieve large amounts of data and to use algorithms to extract clinically meaningful information from the data. And the NewGrid infrastructure was lending itself particularly well to answer the questions that DECIDE was aiming to address.
This grid-based e-infrastructure at the heart of DECIDE links powerful computational resources and the reference databases across Europe through the high-speed, reliable pan-European GÉANT backbone to the individual national research networks in the member countries.
None of the individual research centers or hospitals in DECIDE has a database which is large enough to perform statistically relevant analysis. That's why we need to interconnect sites to make better use of the individual resources into something which is effective for researchers.
One of the most important advantages of the grid infrastructure of DECIDE is the security aspect. and all the data are transmitted in a secure way and also in an authorized way. And you don't move the data along the network, but only on specific processing nodes, which are inside the DECIDE infrastructure.
In addition to being secure, DECIDE has been designed to be very easy to use for clinicians who are not necessarily ICT experts. The DECIDE portal is accessed through a simple web browser interface. Images are uploaded, and DECIDE compares them to normal, disease-free reference datasets for any statistically relevant biomarkers which would indicate the early onset of Alzheimer's disease. A report is then generated and delivered to the clinician in a matter of minutes.
The first impact and feedback of the project seems to be very good. Our clinicians are using currently in their daily routine the applications of the DECIDE infrastructure, because they say that they are able to perform their diagnosis in a more faster way and accurate way.
I use DECIDE in the hospital now because along the period of the project we ameliorate, we increase the sensibility and the specificity of the process and of the results for diagnosis. So every day I use the tool, which is implemented with a good number of normal controls that I need to compare the data in a single patient and to obtain results related to the alteration of the brain functioning. And this is with very high sensitivity and specificity, and that's why for me DECIDE improve my diagnostic routine work.
DECIDE can really change the way that clinicians get to their diagnosis. Because up to now, these are based mainly on qualitative analysis, whereas with DECIDE they can have a quantitative measurement, which will really benefit the accurateness of their diagnosis.
The research networking and grid computation that underpins DECIDE are fundamental technologies at the heart of European science and education. Projects like DECIDE are a good example of how the GÉANT network, working in partnership with NRENs and researchers, can deliver societal benefits to the European community.
GÉANT and GAR have been absolutely critical and pivotal to NeoGrid and DECIDE, and without GÉANT and GAR these will have never been born. And I do hope that the Commission and Member States will continue funding both activities.
I think GÉANT has a crucial role in avoiding the fragmentation that currently is in the different research infrastructures and centers. I think it can help to bring together the research community to share not only the way to proceed, but also the vision of how to tackle the problem of pathologies, in particular the Alzheimer's disease.
DECIDE is an extensible framework, which is today focusing on Alzheimer's disease. But tomorrow it may be applied equally well to other brain diseases or even other organs. As a proof of concept of this flexibility, we have included in the application portfolio an application, GÉANT, which aims at detecting schizophrenia conditions in a semi-automated way.
So the future of the DECIDE project is to implement new and more advanced methods of analysis, first. Second, to increase the number of patients we want to evaluate with this method, thus obtaining specificity which is related to different neurological diseases.
Neurology is moving more and more towards early diagnosis, and the earlier diagnosis is done, the more physicians need objective markers. And objective markers are often collected with neuroimages, and neuroimages are so complex that require specific environment to be treated. So DECIDE applies this concept in the field of Alzheimer's disease, but This will apply to the whole field of neuroscience and neuropsychiatry in the coming years.